Everybody dreams about moving to Phoenix. We have over 300 days of sunshine every single year. We have beautiful desert landscape. We have amazing homes. We have mountains right here in Phoenix, and we have access to some of the most beautiful places in all of the United States of America, as well as easy access to the beach. We are in such a great location, and for about 8 months out of the year, we have the most perfect weather that you can find anywhere here in the US. But what most people don't realize is that one simple oversight can turn a dream move into a nightmare overnight and bring months of frustration. And while there are quite a few things that can trip you up along the way, and this is the one mistake that everyone pretty much makes and without realizing it until it's too late. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 8 mistakes that people make when moving to Phoenix so that when you make your move, hopefully you can avoid these 8 things. We will talk about why buyers end up in the wrong suburbs for their lifestyle. We'll talk about how the desert landscape quietly affects everything from your commute to work to your home's upkeep and everything in between for you and your family. And lastly, we'll talk about one mindset shift that people who love living here have versus the people that have regrets and wish they chose differently. Stick around, because after this video, I am hoping to save you tons of frustration as you make your move to our great city in our great state of Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Keegan McDowell. I am a local real estate agent and also a relocation expert, and I help tons and tons of families move to Phoenix every single year and find the neighborhood and the home that is perfect for them and their family. I've seen the same patterns and the same mistakes happen over and over and over again with people who are moving from out of state into Phoenix. I know what really matters. I know the stumbling blocks that families run into, and I'm here to help make your move smooth and easy, and also hopefully save some pain down the road. If you are somebody who is considering a move to Arizona, feel free to use my contact information below. I would love to help make your move smooth and easy, and I also have a free moving to Arizona guide that you can download with the link in the description. It just talks about everything Phoenix, Arizona, and also covers all the suburbs and the smaller cities surrounding Phoenix that could be an option for you and your family. So before you hop on Zillow or you plan your move or you order that moving truck, let's walk through the biggest mistakes that I see when people are moving to Phoenix, starting with one that happens even before you step foot in the city. So our first of 8 mistakes that people make when moving to Phoenix or considering moving to Phoenix is assuming that Phoenix is basically just one big neighborhood. When people fly into Phoenix, they see that it's a short drive to Scottsdale or downtown Phoenix or even a resort in Tempe, and they assume that that's what the entire valley is like, one big neighborhood. What out-of-towners don't truly realize is how expansive and how big the greater Phoenix area is. Greater Phoenix covers over 500 square miles of area and is made up of many distinct suburbs and smaller cities and master plan communities alike, which each have their own identity, price point, and vicinity to the actual Phoenix and downtown Phoenix area. So when buyers are looking online, you're scrolling Zillow, you're doing your due diligence, you see a home that's in your price point, and you think, oh, well, it's only 15-20 minutes away from the spot that I really want to live in. So as a buyer, you're out of town, you're looking on a map, you're maybe scrolling Zillow, you're trying to find something in your price point, and what looks close on a map when you actually get here to Phoenix isn't exactly so close. You think that you're gonna have easy access to Scottsdale or easy access to the East Valley or downtown, but when you really get here, you realize that it's much more expansive and spread out, and the lifestyle you thought you were buying into might not be the lifestyle that you actually get once you move here. So one thing I recommend to all my buyers that are moving from out of state is to write down what your priorities are. Is your priorities nightlife and entertainment on the weekends aside from work? Is your priority the commute to work? Is it access to the airport? So then when you come do an in-person visit, you can see, okay, what does this drive really feel like? Where am I actually going to be living and driving to and from every day? What does rush hour look like? Instead of just looking on a map from, the middle of Iowa and something, looking pretty close when you actually get here is much different than it looks on a map. Phoenix isn't just one big city. It's a collection of a ton of smaller cities and communities alike. So if you treat Phoenix as one big city, you could settle for living in a community or a neighborhood that's completely opposite of the lifestyle that you think you're moving into just because you're moving into Phoenix. And once you've narrowed down where you want to live and where you want to settle down, the next challenge definitely hits fast, because how you get around the city can definitely change how your days feel. Mistake number 7 is understanding the different communities and maybe the different commute times you'll have if you have a job where you have to be in person and go to the office every single day. Like I said in the last point, when you look at a map, you can draw a quick line from, Gilbert to Scottsdale or from Surprise to downtown Phoenix. But when you're actually here in person and your wheels are on the ground, a 20-minute commute can double or even sometimes triple depending on the time of day when you're making the trip. Relocating buyers often assume that Phoenix is just like the other cities and drives like them too, when in reality, from end to end in the Phoenix metro spans over 60 miles long. Some of the hidden challenges that come with this point are highway system. The I-10 that travels east to west straight through Phoenix and goes out to LA and San Diego gets extremely packed during rush hour. I'm talking bumper to bumper traffic, as well as our 101 loop that goes around the city and the 202 loop that goes around the East Valley. Traffic during rush hour, especially on the highway, is a big point of contention here in Phoenix. It's not quite Los Angeles level or New York, but when you get here and you see how spread out the city is, you maybe would think, oh, the traffic's not going to be that bad here because it's so spread out. Well, I'm here to tell you that the traffic on the highways can get backed up, especially during rush hour. There is also reality that this city is a huge sprawl, and to get to your favorite restaurants or entertainment options or shopping centers, it might look close on the map like I said before, but could end up being a 30-minute drive. Although it doesn't seem bad for maybe 1 or 2 times, if you continuously have to make this trip, it can become exhaustive, and you might choose to live closer to these areas instead of further away for a different price point. One thing I tell relocating buyers is that the desert heat makes long commutes feel much worse in the summer. The sun is beaming down, it's going through your car windows, you want to get inside the AC, it just wears on you a little bit. This is one thing you'll have to come check out in person, map out your commutes, and go figure out what's really doable and what's your limit. The Phoenix lifestyle definitely can be easy, but if you add long commutes to your daily life just to get the house at the price point you want, you might want to consider a different neighborhood that'll fit your lifestyle. That brings us to our third point, which is choosing a home that's going to last and one that's designed for the desert. Buyers that come from out of state oftentimes don't know what to look for in homes when they're looking in a different climate. If you're coming from the Northwest or the Northeast or the Midwest, oftentimes these homes are built differently than the ones we have here in Arizona that have to endure the heat and the desert climate and everything else that comes with it. The sun exposure, the roof type, the window types we have out here can be vastly different even if you're somebody that's owned a home for 10, 15, 20 years in a different part of the country. Understanding what direction your home faces is going to have an effect on your AC and how much heat and sunlight is entering into your home through windows. All of our systems go quicker here. The HVAC systems don't last as long, the roofs don't last as long. So making sure you understand what the condition and what the home is designed for when you get here and you're making that big purchase is vitally important. The bottom line is you have to know what to look for when buying a house here in the desert if you're not used to living out here. Something can look good on paper or online or on Zillow, but can become a headache and maybe even unbearable in the heat if it's not built for the desert. The right house, the right materials, the right orientation can save you headaches and potentially even hundreds, thousands of dollars over time if you're not careful. Which kind of brings us to our next point, which is underestimating the heat. Personally, when I was moving to Phoenix, I think I overestimated the heat, which I'm glad I did because I would rather have somebody overestimate, the effect of the heat than underestimate it. Everyone knows Phoenix is hot during the summer. That's what it's known for. People prepare for it. That's why some people don't move here. But until you've actually lived an entire 3-4 months in the summer heat here in the Phoenix desert, you're really not going to know what to expect. And the other thing is, you really don't understand how much it dictates your routine and just overall your day-to-day lifestyle. Newcomers often think that they can escape it or just stay indoors or go out during the evening or the morning or whatever their plan might be. But maybe what they don't understand is that at 9, 10, even 11 p.m. during the summer, it is still over 100 degrees out here because there is so much asphalt. It is hard for our city to cool down. Everything becomes earlier. If you want to work out outside or walk your dog or do errands, a lot of times people have to start those super early in the morning if they want to avoid the heat. So everything starts earlier here in Phoenix, especially during the summer. The other thing people don't understand is how much the heat wears and tears on things we use every single day, like our batteries or our tires and our cars, our roofs, everything around the house. Things just wear and tear more easily, especially during those 4 months in the summer when the sun is beating down. A lot of locals in Phoenix use the summer to escape Phoenix and get to different climates. This would be my biggest recommendation, is to plan travel, vacations, whatever it might be during the summer months. It gets exhaustive when it feels like you can't even escape the heat and you're stuck here in Phoenix. This can lead to some serious burnout here in the summer. So the bottom line about the heat is that you can love the Phoenix climate if you can get through the summers and kind of respect and plan for the heat that's coming. And this kind of brings me to my next point, which is that the desert is expensive and it might come with hidden costs that out-of-towners don't really see coming. And that's my next mistake, and that's ignoring the true cost of living in the desert. There are some hidden challenges that come with living in the desert, and most of them revolve around upkeep of your personal items. For example, some AC bills during the summer can be upwards of $400, $500, even $600 if you're constantly running your AC and different electricity in your house during the summer. Because the desert landscape is kind of hard to maintain, there are a ton of HOAs out here in the different neighborhoods in Phoenix. A lot of them have strict rules and a lot of them have monthly fees that you might not see coming. Because Phoenix is so spread out, your car is going to have more mileage, gas is expensive out here, and the commute mileage plus the heat can really take a toll on your vehicles. Making sure you factor in some of these different costs when you're making a plan or a budget for how much you're going to pay moving here and buying a house can be really important to the long-term and future success you'll have living here in Phoenix. Phoenix is definitely affordable, but there are some things you have to consider and some trade-offs that you have to be aware of. If you're just looking at the sticker price of a home, there are going to be things that come up and things you might overlook that are going to raise the day-to-day and monthly costs of you living here. And that brings me to my next point, which is probably the most practical mistake people make when moving out here. And that's mistake number 6, which is living too far from the essentials. Phoenix is growing so much. They are continuously building on the outskirts of the city. And like I said in a couple of the points before, when you look at these spots on a map, they don't look too far away, especially when you don't know the city or you haven't been here in person or spent much time here. When relocating, buyers oftentimes just look at the homes, look at the price tag, maybe look at the views or square footage or what the house looks like. And they don't realize that a lot of these new build communities or master plan communities are really far away from shopping, dining, and even hospitals or emergency centers. The Phoenix sprawl that is happening in every direction means that there isn't the same infrastructure for all the communities surrounding Phoenix. Some of the communities that are super far out are not that close to a hospital if you were to have an emergency. A lot of these communities are still developing their amenities, so you might not be as close to the things you need on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we have a great healthcare infrastructure here in Phoenix, and the major medical centers we have are going to be located all around the cities. But for some of the fast-growing suburbs like Queen Creek, Estancia, Buckeye, you're still going to rely on a decent drive for most of these services. If you are of older age or a retiree that has to do consistent and constant medical checkups, you might grow tired of these commutes. Not only for emergency situations, but also essentials like going to the gym or schools or going grocery shopping. You're definitely going to want to get here, see how far these things are away from the community that you're looking at, and make sure that those commutes are what you want to add to your lifestyle. A beautiful home is going to feel much less beautiful and not as perfect as it looks in the pictures if you have a 30-minute commute to the different things you want to do in your daily life. It is extremely important to balance both lifestyle and accessibility to the house you want before you buy. And that brings us to our next mistake, which is mistake number 7, and that is ignoring the growth and the development that is happening here in Phoenix. Everybody knows that Phoenix is the fastest growing metro in the entire United States. And somebody that's coming in, might move to the outskirts and assume that the quiet little neighborhood and the quiet little lot and house that they have is going to stay that way forever. And that's just not the truth or the reality of this city today. They don't check zoning maps or infrastructure plans or new development plans. And those can reshape a community in such a different way in such a short amount of time if Phoenix continues to grow and sprawl to the outer parts of the city. We have so much space here in Arizona, and I don't see them stopping building anytime soon. So making sure you understand that the empty desert lot that you purchased might not stay empty forever, and that more than likely they're going to develop and they're going to continue growing the city. For some local context, if you are looking in the East Valley, Surprise and Buckeye are two communities that are growing rapidly fast. There is constant expansion, new builds, new developments, and new schools going up at all times of the year. Now in the West Valley, East Mesa and Queen Creek, as well as Gilbert, are also still rapidly growing. Making sure that you talk to a local expert or someone who knows the area to make sure you know what you're buying into is extremely important when considering this factor. Phoenix's growth is super exciting, and I love this city and how big it's getting. But if you're somebody who's moving here from out of state, if you don't plan for the growth and the redevelopments happening, what you think you're buying into could change pretty much overnight. And even if you have avoided all 7 of these first mistakes, there is one mistake that I see all the time that has nothing to do with houses, traffic, heat, or anything like that. It's all about how you approach your move to Phoenix. And that brings me to my last and final mistake, which is treating your move to Phoenix Phoenix more like a vacation rather than a lifestyle change and a home change. A lot of people come to Phoenix on vacation. They come during the winter months to escape the heat, and they come here to see the sunshine. They play golf, they go to one of the resorts, they see the palm trees, they go on hikes, and they fall in love with our city, and they think that's what it's going to be like every single day when they move here. Making sure you know that living here in Phoenix is not always sunshine and rainbows, and there are things you're going to have to deal with. Knowing that you're not moving out here for a permanent vacation is going to temper your expectations and honestly allow you to settle in smoothly and get to know the city and the people that live here. When people are planning their move here, they are planning it based on the vacation that they had, and maybe not the life that they're going to live every single day. The resort areas like Paradise Valley and the Biltmore and Scottsdale and Old Town, these areas are awesome, but a lot of times for locals, they are at a price point that is nearly unattainable. So people find themselves settling for one of the other suburbs, and then they get here and realize those areas of the city are not as incorporated in their day-to-day life as they thought they were going to be. I always suggest people relocating from out of state to come spend at least a week here before you make your move, making sure they live like a local and not like a vacationer before they decide on where they're going to settle down here in the Phoenix metro. Phoenix isn't just a destination like a lot of people use it for vacation. It is a home to millions. And if you move here treating it like a vacation spot, you might just miss out on the lifestyle that it has to offer you. And that's what it comes down to, because the number one mistake people make when moving to Phoenix is not about picking the wrong house. It's about forgetting how to plan for how you'll really live when you get out here. So here's the truth. Moving to Phoenix is not hard in itself, but moving here the right way is going to take some planning. And that's why I wanted to lay out these 8 mistakes that people make when relocating to Phoenix. There's been a lot of times where I've reconnected with past clients and they tell me, oh, well, I wish I would have known this before moving here. And although that is hard for me to hear sometimes, that is why I want to pass that information along to you. My name is Keegan McDowell. I'm a local real estate expert here, and my job is not just to help you find a house. It's to help you find a neighborhood and a community that's going to fit your lifestyle and is going to help you build a life that actually fits you and your family. If you are somebody that's thinking about relocating to Phoenix, that is why I put my free Moving to Arizona guide on my website. You can download it with the link in the bio, and it talks about everything Phoenix, Arizona, as well as all of the communities and suburbs that surround our great city. And if you want to reach out directly to me, I've left my contact information below. Just shoot me a text, call me, or send me an email, and I would love to help you game plan for your future move. I'll see you next time.